Hi there. Derek teaches Minitab. This is the first lesson. Some of you I've met in and around the Toronto area have asked me about Minitab, what it is, how is it useful, and so I'm going to show you. Minitab is a great way, if you're already in data analysis, is a great way of learning statistics really fast. Its main purpose is an educational tool, but I've used it actually in many job roles, and I've seen it being used in a professional sense in public transportation. I've seen many public transportation companies use Minitab. I've seen it being used in quality control in the automotive industry, and I've used it myself in telecom and in pharmaceutical. But it helps you guide you very easily through the different statistical analyses that are most useful in industry. But it may not handle a lot of data very well. Having said that, if whatever you're looking at, whatever you're trying to analyze, if your data set is, relatively small, under maybe 5,000 samples, Minitab could be used for the purpose that you're seeking in whatever role or industry you have. Let's take a look at Minitab and what it is. It's basically a spreadsheet, but instead of the normal spreadsheet functions, it gives you closer, better access to key statistical tools and functions that enable you to get an output, a useful, meaningful analysis right away. So it allows you to clue into specific type of calculations very quickly. So the top is the session window. The session window contains any sort of output or method output that you have calculated from. And then the bottom is where you enter the data. It's basically the worksheet similar to Excel, except the formulas, you can't really enter formulas in directly. You have to use the menu bar at the top. Let's start typing in some data. So suppose that we have 12 golfers, and we want to look at how all 12 of these golfers, how well they scored playing the same course in 2 different rounds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start typing in these golf scores from 12 golfers. So 89, 90, 87, 95. Let's go another page here. 86, 81, 102, 105, 83, 88, 91, 79. 12 observations, and this is round 1. Round 2. Notice here the top row is gray as opposed to the rest of the data cells are white. The top row is a label space. It is specifically there to add a tag or a handle to your data so that it's easy to identify when you're doing calculations. So let's enter round 2 is 94, 85, 89, 89. 81, 76, 107, 89, 87, 91, 88, 80. 2 groups, 2 rounds, 12 observations. In one group, how did each of the 12 golfers compare to one another? And what is the spread? Which golfers are in the middle of the sample and which are on the ends? How is the data spread? Well, we can do that pretty easily through descriptive statistics. And there happens to be a very quick way of getting a bunch of descriptive statistics pretty quickly. And that's here in Stat, Basic Statistics. It's titled here, Display of Descriptive Statistics. So if you just click this, we're just going to do round 1 from now. And so what you can see on the output in the session, some very important key calculations, such as the mean. The mean is right here. So the middle score, or the average I should say, is 89.67. But the actual middle score is the median, which is 88.5. We have even number of observations, so median usually comes with a 0.5 when your observations are even. Have your maximum, so the largest score, the worst score for any golfer was 105, and the minimum was 79. Standard deviation is a method to understand the spread. How does the data spread? But what would be easier is to try and figure out what we want to know is to compare round 1 and round 2 to see how different they are. What we can do is we can simply go back to Stat, Basic Statistics, Display Descriptive Statistics, and instead of putting round 1, we can put round 2 here, and then click OK. You can expand the session window and then compare round 1 and round 2. So it looks like that they're quite close. The median is the same, but the mean is smaller in round 2. So of these 12 golfers, perhaps they are getting better each time they play the same course. I mean, what would happen in round 3? Probably this mean would come down, but there doesn't appear to be indication that the median would also reduce. And what about the spread of the variance? Just looking at the standard deviation, it really doesn't tell us much. What we can do is we can also graph the data. And what's useful, one type of graph and analysis that's useful is a box plot. Box plot is basically graphing percentiles of data, and you can graph them and separate their categories or groups to see how they compare. So under graph, let's select box plot, and we want 2 Y's. You have 2 categories of data. Click OK, and then click round 1 and round 2, and then click OK. Then what this box plot has told us is that it appears that the spread of the data, the third percentile and the first percentile, is giving us this wide spread. Actually, I'm not entirely sure. Well, this might be percentile. It might be standard deviation. More than likely, it's percentile. But you can always set those options when you're graphing them. Either way, it's basically helping you observe the data in a graphical form so that you can look at the 2 groups of data and see how they compare. And you can tell here that the spread of the data is slightly wider in round 1 and round 2, and also the general location or extent of the data is smaller. So generally speaking, it appears that the golf scores are better in round 2 than round 1. However, the average or the center of the data appears to be in the same place. So looking at this, although there is some evidence of change from round 1 or round 2, it doesn't appear to be significant. And so that's your introduction to Minitab. I hope you enjoyed it.